All right, let's dive straight into this explainer because today we are completely dismantling everything we've been told about how the rich actually build their fortunes. I mean, for decades, we've been fed this narrative about massive salaries, lucky breaks, or high-risk gambles. But the data? The data tells a completely different and frankly, a much more empowering story. Today, we're cracking open the hidden architecture of wealth.
So think about it for a second. What does a millionaire actually look like to you? We usually picture the flashy luxury cars, the designer clothes, the penthouse suites, basically whatever the social media algorithms are pushing in our faces today. But the reality? Most millionaires look remarkably like your average neighbor. Literally. They aren't trying to look rich because they are way too busy actually being wealthy.
You see, what really separates them isn't just the size of their paycheck. It's a set of specific, repeatable behaviors. Achieving financial independence is not about luck. It's not about hitting the jackpot. It's actually a surprisingly unglamorous process of just making the right micro-decisions day after day, year after year.
To break this all down, we're going to look at 4 key pillars: the quiet wealth reality, the psychology of spending, the wealth-building engine, and finally, the lifestyle of the affluent.
Okay, starting right off with number 1, the quiet wealth reality. While society loves to push flashy consumerism, studies show that the quietly wealthy actively, deliberately avoid lifestyle inflation. More than half of millionaires actually drive used cars and live in relatively modest homes. When their income goes up, their spending doesn't just automatically rise to match it. They maintain this absolutely crucial gap between what they earn and what they spend. Because at the end of the day, buying things just to prove you have money is the fastest way to end up with less of it.
Which brings us to our second pillar, the psychology of spending.
So, our brains are actually hardwired for this phenomenon called hyperbolic discounting. It's just a fancy term for our tendency to undervalue future rewards in favor of an immediate benefit. It's exactly why we struggle to save for a retirement that's decades away when there is a shiny new gadget sitting right in front of us today. You aren't lacking willpower, you're just fighting a cognitive bias that kept our ancient ancestors alive, but is honestly terrible for your modern financial planning.
The real key to outsmarting your own impulses is mastering delayed gratification. It means intentionally sacrificing a small, short-term pleasure today so you can secure a massive gain tomorrow. And look, wealthy people still want fun things. They've just trained themselves to prioritize future security over present impulses. They know for a fact that giving up a minor thrill right now pays exponential dividends down the road.
If you want to implement this immediately, use the 24-hour rule. It is incredibly simple. You see a non-essential item, you wait exactly 24 hours, and then you assess if you truly need it. You aren't even saying no, you're just saying not right now. Forcing that pause lets the emotional, dopamine-driven rush fade away, so cold, hard logic can take the wheel. And the financial impact of that simple pause is staggering. Let's do the math. If you avoid just one 1,500 dirham impulse purchase every quarter, like, say, skipping that new smartwatch, and you invest that money at an average 6% return, it compounds to over 34,000 dirhams in just 5 years. That is the massive hidden cost of impulse buying.
All right, that leads us perfectly into section 3, the wealth-building engine.
When you break down the actual numbers, the contrast between an average budget and a millionaire's budget is wild. An average person spends about 55% of their money on wants, leaving a meager 5% for investments. Millionaires completely flip the script. They keep their needs and wants tightly controlled, and they funnel a staggering 65% directly into investments. They aren't just saving their leftovers, right? Wealth accumulation is their primary line item.
The secret to hitting a massive investment rate like that is making paying yourself first a completely non-negotiable expense. Treat it exactly like your rent. The quietly wealthy automate their investments so the money is routed straight into the market before it ever even hits their checking account. They grow their wealth before they even have the chance to be tempted to spend it.
But beyond just saving, they build incredibly resilient financial engines. They maintain a strategic cash buffer, usually 6 months or more, so they literally never have to pull money out of the market during a downturn. They build multiple streams of income, and crucially, they employ proactive, year-round tax strategies to legally keep way more of what they earn.
Finally, let's jump into section 4, the lifestyle of the affluent.
When you actually study self-made millionaires, you see a striking pattern of holistic daily routines. They prioritize physical activity for at least 30 minutes a day. They get 7 or more hours of sleep, and they dedicate serious time to reading for self-education.
They aren't binge-watching reality TV, right? They are consuming knowledge and intentionally networking with individuals who push them to grow.
They deeply understand that health is a critical wealth asset. Because honestly, you can have all the money in the world, but poor physical or mental balance will inevitably stall your ability to create, perform, and lead. They invest heavily in their energy levels, because without physical vitality, your financial ambitions are eventually going to hit a brick wall.
And you know that greedy, Scrooge-like stereotype you always see in movies? Throw it out the window. The affluent actively engage in strategic philanthropy and mentoring. Giving builds invaluable networks, it sharpens their life's purpose, and it creates a real legacy. Wealth is a tool to be utilized to make an impact, not just a high score to hoard in a bank account.
So the overarching theme across all of these data points is profoundly simple. Building wealth requires consistency far more than it requires high starting capital. It's the relentless, unglamorous execution of these quiet habits over decades. Consistency plus time equals compound growth. Time is the ultimate equalizer, provided you actually give it the fuel it needs. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. You now know the architecture, you know the psychology, and you know the daily routines. So which of these quiet habits are you going to start building today? Are you going to set up the 24-hour rule this afternoon? Will you automate your investments tomorrow morning? The gap between knowing and doing, that's where true wealth is built. Go make it happen.